The next etude is the Andante Cantabile from the Blazevich Tuba book on page 36, etude 34, in the key of A major, with kind of this interesting time signature back and forth between the feeling of a 9/8 bar and 3/4 bars, just kind of however the melody dictates it should go. And I find that to be kind of an interesting little twist on the piece, and it'll be fun to kind of explore that as we go through it. First, as always, make sure you number your measures. Make sure you have letters for rehearsal spots where the new section begins. I think it just helps keep everything more organized. And make sure that you are writing in your alternate positions and valve choices throughout the piece. There are a lot of options in this one especially. And every time I go through it, if I'm not paying attention to what I wrote, I will do something different and find myself a little bit in a jam. So you want to write it in and then practice them that way and then get to know them that way so that you do it the same way every time. Write in your breath marks. Just as important because you want to make sure you breathe at the same place every single time. I hope I'm not getting old saying this. I'm going to say this again and again. If you do the planning ahead of time, you will find you're experiencing less anxiety and doubt in the middle of a performance, which will make it go smoother, and that'll help a lot. So again, as always, practice in short chunks, maybe the first 2 measures, 4 bars at a time, maybe 1 measure at a time, sometimes even as slow as 1 or 2 intervals at a time, just to get everything in your mind feeling and sounding the right way. Anything in 5th position and in the valves deserves some time to listen to for intonation. It is a little bit of a foreign key to most of us, even though we may have played etudes in this key before or other sharp keys. Most of the time we play flat keys in band, marching band, concert band, and even the music in our lessons. So it makes a lot of sense to spend time with a tuner in a foreign key to get used to these positions. 5th position, all the trigger notes that have sharps on them, they're again a little bit foreign and we want to get more comfortable with them. So I like to work through each phrase without the tongue first to get used to how it feels to blow through the notes, how to connect them with the embouchure, how to keep the air going so that the notes connect and the intervals connect and things can be as smooth as possible. I don't mind if we have smears and slide noise and things like that when I'm working on it this way. I'm just trying to connect all of the notes across the valve, across the slide, across the partials. Eventually I'll come back with a legato tongue when necessary and put that back together with the piece. By doing it this way, I get to figure out where I need to tongue on the same partial, or if there's a particular interval I need to tongue, and also where I don't have to because of the lip slurs, the natural slurs that take place when you cross the partial or go in and out of the valve. So just as an example of that, I'm just going to do the first phrase with no tongue. I want to see how the notes connect. So that's a little bit of a difficult interval to time, so I might legato tongue that. So by going through it this way, I can kind of feel out where I need to tongue for all the various reasons, and it's really helpful. I like using the natural slur when able, and then when I do legato tongue, the idea is that we want to make them sound the same so that nobody really even knows that we're articulating, kind of like we're singing with a constant ah syllable. Now, we got a lot of pedal range passages here, or slurs and phrases that go down into the pedal through the trigger. And we got to get used to how those sound. And it's really helpful to practice them softly and quietly and slowly. For example, measure 14 gets down to pedal G sharp and then F double sharp. Now that doesn't sound the way that I wanted to right away. I was playing a D natural instead of a D sharp too. But I was able to sort of figure out all the little problems I might deal with and maybe work it out to get it to sound pretty good. Of course, I did all that work before I made the videos too. And you would do all of that work before you perform it at the audition so that you're not feeling a little stressed out about the low stuff. So take your time, go slowly, go softly, make your mistakes in the practice room while you're under tempo. You're going to make a ton of them. It's actually really helpful. You learn things when you make mistakes. And then get used to connecting the notes in all circumstances. Of course, this is in a lyrical ballad style. Sounds to me like you're a storyteller telling this long epic tale of journey and possibly romance and many other things that come through in the storytelling, and you want to communicate something to whoever's listening with conviction. So it helps if you have a concept in your head or if you have an idea that you're trying to communicate. It doesn't have to be too specific. It can be vague, but it has to be something so that you can be expressive. When you play legato, you're aiming for the smoothest possible, most connected type of playing that you can imagine, which is why you want to use as little tongue as necessary. Only what the tongue is needed to get the job done. No more, no less. There's a lot of different articulations in the piece. That helps tell the story. Legato connections, obviously, crossing the lip slurs are on the same partial with the da tongue. There are tenuto notes, which you want a tongue a little bit heavier. And then there's unmarked notes, which may actually have a little bit of a tiny bit of space in how you articulate. And you want to make a big difference in that so it's noticeable. Not so big that the notes are staccato or anything like that, or they're heavy. None of these are really heavy articulations. They're just the differences in weight and differences in pressure. When it comes to the rhythm, you have this back and forth between triplet and duple, and the triplet rhythms tend to need to flow across the beats rather than kind of drive into them, while the duple is a little bit more patient and more deliberate, not in a hurry to get where it's going. And you want to make sure that no matter what the rhythm, no matter what the notes and the range and the connection and the articulation, that you're striving to be expressive. You can be expressive with dynamic contrast. There aren't a whole lot of dynamics written, and so you should write some in. You should write some opportunities to push and pull the tempo. There's a little bit of that from here and there, but you definitely want to do more. As the tension builds, you might want to push forward, and when it finally releases, you can slow back down to the original tempo. Dynamically, the same thing. Crescendo through the building portions of the music and relax into the releases of the tension. Sometimes you'll have things that build like the same motive over and over. Obviously, that's going to build. And so there's a lot of room for expression. You should look for it. You should find it. And most of your concepts for that come from listening to other great trombone music, other great vocal music, instrumental music, cello music. All of that stuff will make your trombone playing better. And then you'll have more tools in the box to attack this piece with and make it a musical story of epic proportion.